In 1972, this had never happened in Germany. And that is why it was such a shit show. They keep trying, but like nobody was in charge and nobody was trained for it. That is why this went as poorly.
And what made it even more of a shit show, which was actually a highlight moment for me, was when the newsroom, ABC, realized that they were actually facilitating and helping the terrorists when they were actually broadcasting, and you saw them watching it on TV. That, for me, that gave me goosebumps. I was like, yo, that is actually crazy.
And that was two things as well, right? Number one, they should have cut the power to that building, and they didn't because nobody knew to do it. And secondly, nobody had done this before. Nobody had broadcast a hostage crisis before. So there was no protocol. They had to make it up on the spot, and they had to make judgment calls about what was the right thing to do. And if they waited just a minute, they might lose the story. I think the movie really is really good at selling us on the dilemmas and the choices and the trade-offs and why people make those decisions. I didn't feel like anybody was an idiot in this. Like, people make plenty of mistakes, but every mistake is justified. Every mistake comes from a context and has reasons. And like that's my big hobby horse, right? That conflict should be motivated. And this movie is a masterclass in this. Right? Like, if you're writing like fictional conflict, just watch this movie and see what you need to put in to make it work. Because this movie makes it work. This movie explains everybody's decisions and the context in which they make those decisions and the options they have, or the balancing act of the different choices. And there are no perfect choices, and you have to make a decision now based on imperfect information, and you go with information and then later turns out to be wrong and you look like an idiot. All of these conflicts and choices and trade-offs and balancing acts that kind of permeate through the movie. As far as I was concerned, everything was understandable, and all the human shortcomings and mistakes that people make, even like the authorities messing up, every part of it is justified. And you can kind of understand, okay, this is why this went off the rails. Like, it's still a mistake. It's still a tragic error. It's still awful, but we understand why it happened. And if there's nothing else in this movie, it's making us understand why stuff like this happens. That looks like complete incompetence. Like from 50 years later, it looks like a clown show. But in the moment, these were just people making choices based on incomplete and imperfect information. Like, everybody had their own perspective. Everybody had their own priorities. Like, this is how you do conflict. And this is how you show incompetence. Like, this is how you write incompetence too. It's easy to make a character look stupid. It's much harder to have a character make mistakes and we empathize with them. And we understand why they did it. And we know they couldn't have done it any other way. And that is really difficult to write. But it still makes for a compelling story. That if everything is justified, it's a better story. And so I don't get the people who say, no, this is not important. Just do whatever, it's fine. I do not get it. Like, watch this movie and tell me it's a worse movie because it's everybody's motivation and constraints and decision making is so well fleshed out.